When Mrs. Lee turned 78, her daughter began hinting that it might be time to consider a nursing home. At first, the words slid past her ears like harmless suggestions. But as her knees weakened and her hands began trembling while making morning tea, those words started to echo louder in her mind. "You'll have people to help you there," her daughter had said. "You won't have to worry about falling or cooking alone." But Mrs. Lee knew the truth. What her daughter called help, she called surrender. The thought of leaving her home, the garden her husband had planted before he passed, the worn wooden table where her family had once gathered, filled her with quiet dread. She had seen friends move into nursing homes. At first, they'd speak cheerfully about safety and convenience, but after a few months, their voices grew flat. Visits became shorter, smiles became practiced. It wasn't cruelty that lived there, she thought. It was emptiness. So one night, while sitting under the soft hum of her living room lamp, she made herself a promise. Even if I grow frail, I won't rush into a nursing home. I'll find another way. Her decision wasn't pride, it was understanding. She knew that people didn't wither just from age, but from losing the rhythm of their own lives. At home, she could still decide when to wake, what to eat, when to rest, and how to pray. That autonomy, she believed, was what kept a soul alive. The next morning, she started making small changes. First, she admitted she needed help, not a facility, but a system that worked with her. She hired a neighbor's daughter, Sun Hee, a kind young woman who came every morning to help with chores and cooking. Instead of feeling like a patient, Mrs. Lee felt like a teacher again, showing Sun Hee how to make proper kimchi and fold dumplings neatly. Then she joined a community program that paired seniors with local volunteers. Twice a week, college students visited to read books or walk with her around the block. The laughter of youth filled her home like spring air. She even started a small group for older neighbors to share meals and stories, each bringing one dish, each reminding the others that they still mattered. One day, her friend Mr. Choi visited. He had just moved into a new retirement center. "It's comfortable," he said softly, "but I feel like time moves slower there. We sit, eat, watch TV, and sleep. Everyone's waiting for something, but I'm not sure what." Mrs. Lee listened carefully. That night, she wrote in her journal, "Comfort is not the same as life." She knew she couldn't stop her body from aging. Some days, the pain in her joints kept her from walking more than a few steps. But she realized that staying at home, even with limitations, gave her a kind of freedom no institution could offer. She could sit by her own window, hear the same birds, smell the same jasmine she had planted decades ago. Her memories were alive there, woven into every creak of the floor. As months passed, her family began to notice something remarkable. Despite her frailty, Mrs. Lee's spirit grew stronger. She smiled more, her voice was lighter. Her daughter visited one weekend and saw her mother laughing with neighbors and the dining table full of food and warmth. "Mom," her daughter said gently, "you seem happy." Mrs. Lee looked at her and replied, "Because I'm still living my life, not just being kept alive." She explained that growing old didn't mean handing over one's will. It meant adjusting, creating a new version of independence, surrounded by people who cared but didn't confine. A nursing home, she said, could take care of the body, but not always the spirit. Of course, she knew some people needed those places, those with illnesses too severe, those truly alone. But she also knew many entered too early, pushed by fear or convenience. Before you trade freedom for safety, she said, build a network of kindness around you. That's the real secret. By 80, Mrs. Lee's world had grown smaller in distance, but deeper in meaning. Her home was filled with signs of life, flowers from neighbors, notes from volunteers, photos of laughter taped to her refrigerator. She had proven that independence wasn't about doing everything alone. It was about deciding how you wanted to live, even with help. When she finally passed peacefully 2 years later, her daughter found her journal on the bedside table. On the last page, Mrs. Lee had written, "The secret isn't to avoid aging, it's to keep choosing. Choosing warmth over routine, home over walls, and life over fear. The day you stop deciding for yourself, that's the day you truly grow old." Her daughter wept softly, holding the worn notebook to her heart. For the first time, she understood why her mother had refused the nursing home. It wasn't rebellion, it was wisdom. Mrs. Lee hadn't just lived longer, she had lived on her own terms, and that, she believed, was the truest kind of peace.